Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Philosophizing with a Hammer. I'd like to start off by saying happy holidays, everyone. So, we are already in the second half of December, and I'm very grateful that I have started this journey with you. Hopefully, I'd like to keep the show going for the next year and why not the next few years too. Thanks to your support, of course. If you find the show helpful in any way, please consider following it. Please consider giving it a rate so it can appear for others too. And without further ado, today we are going to explore a fascinating intersection of ancient and modern thought, Zoroastrianism. Before we dive in, let's set the stage with a brief overview of what this thought is all about, what this ideology is all about. So, what helped shape the core of today's episode, of course, along with Nietzsche's works, is a book I have entitled The Spirit of Zoroastrianism by Prods Oktor Skjærvø, and I know for sure I did not say that right. I apologize. It's a great book, a work that offers a remarkable entry point into the rich and ancient tradition of Zoroastrianism. First, let's talk a little bit about the author. Prods is a distinguished scholar of Iranian studies and an authority on ancient Persian languages and Zoroastrian texts. His expertise shines through every page of this book. But don't worry, this isn't a dry academic treatise. The author has a gift for making a complex ideas accessible without oversimplifying them, which makes this book ideal for both newcomers and those already familiar with the subject. So, the book is divided into several sections that guide readers through the foundational elements of Zoroastrianism. Our author doesn't just present Zoroastrianism as a static religion, he explores it as a dynamic tradition that has evolved over millennia. Now, before we dig deeper into the text, let's talk a little bit about the ideology itself. What is Zoroastrianism? So, it originated in ancient Persia, which is more than just a relic of the past. It is a profound system of thought that has shaped the way humanity understands morality, existence, and the divine as well. Imagine the ancient world, thousands of years ago, where polytheistic religions with capricious gods dominated human spirituality. Amid this vast tapestry of beliefs, Zoroaster, which is known by his Persian name Zarathustra, emerged with ideas so innovative that they would, let's say, ripple across centuries. Zarathustra was not merely a prophet in the conventional sense. He was a visionary who redefined the human relationship with the divine and with the morality itself. Zarathustra's most groundbreaking contribution was his introduction of monotheism. In an era where countless gods often represented competing interests, Zarathustra declared the existence of Ahura Mazda, which is the supreme god of wisdom, the supreme god of light as well. This was not a deity among many, but the singular source of truth and goodness in the universe. Ahura, which is spelled Ahura, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correct, he was portrayed as a benevolent force, encouraging harmony and justice. Opposing Ahura was Angra, the spirit of destruction, where the word angry comes from. So Angra is also the spirit of chaos and deceit. And you see this duality between light and darkness, truth and falsehood, set the stage for Zarathustra's central philosophical narrative, which is life as a battlefield between good and evil. Seems very remarkable to Christianity, right? And by the way, we're talking about 1000 to 1500 BCE. What made Zarathustra's vision revolutionary was the way it positioned human beings within this cosmic drama. You see, unlike other religious frameworks of the time, where humans were often at the mercy of divine whims, Zoroastrianism elevated humanity to a central active role. And Zarathustra taught that every individual was endowed with free will, which is a powerful gift that carried immense responsibility. Life, according to him, was not a passive experience. It was an ongoing struggle where every decision, every action, and even every thought contributed to the outcome of the eternal battle between good and evil. Let's break it down to a more relatable way. So, imagine living in a time when people believed their lives were entirely controlled by gods or fate. Then comes Zarathustra, a prophet who says, wait a minute, you're not just a pawn in some divine game. You have power. Your choices matter. This was groundbreaking, and Zarathustra's teachings placed an extraordinary level of trust in the individual. He taught that every person is not just following orders from a higher power, but actively shaping the moral fabric of the universe. The key to this was Asha, a word that translates to truth. Living in alignment with Asha meant striving for justice, for harmony, and balance in everything you do. On the flip side, falling into Druj, which is a deceit and disorder, meant contributing to chaos. And Zarathustra's message was very clear. Your actions and decisions ripple into the world, influencing the cosmic balance between good and evil. And when Zarathustra emphasized truth, it wasn't just about telling the truth in your daily life, though that's important too. Well, he was talking more about something much bigger, which is a universal truth, a truth with a capital T, a truth that underpins everything. And to live fruitfully meant to seek this deeper understanding and align your life with it. In Zarathustra's time, survival often depended on trust and shared values within communities. By making truth a guiding principle, he was offering more than just ethical advice. He was providing a framework for building strong societies. This wasn't about personal gain or loyalty to one's tribe. It was about recognizing our interconnectedness and acting with integrity in every aspect of life. Here's where Zarathustra really stands out. He didn't preach a morality that was handed down from the heavens. Instead, he encouraged his followers to develop morality from within. Authenticity in the modern philosophical sense, in which he introduced the concept of vohu mana, which means the good mind. This is all about using reason and wisdom to decide what's right. Think about that for a moment. Instead of blindly obeying rules, Zarathustra asked people to reflect and choose their paths thoughtfully. It's a philosophy rooted in personal growth and enlightenment, challenging each person to rise to their full potential. And Zarathustra's vision didn't stop at individual growth. He was seeing humanity as part of collective mission to improve the world. He thought that the universe, created by the supreme god Ahura, was inherently good but incomplete. It's up to humans to bring it to its full potential and to complete it. This belief laid the foundation for ideas like caring for the earth and working for social justice. Zarathustra's message was simple but profound. Don't just stand by. Fight ignorance, reject apathy, and actively bring light into the darkness. Now, you might think that Zarathustra's teachings about the battle between good and evil would feel heavy or even hopeless. But it is the opposite, actually, because Zarathustra taught that good would ultimately triumph, but only if people stepped up and did their part. This wasn't about fear, it was about empowerment. The eternal flame, a sacred symbol in Zoroastrianism, beautifully captures this idea. Just as the flame must be cared for to keep burning, so must humanity's commitment to truth and righteousness. It is a constant reminder that we are active participants in this cosmic story. Zarathustra's influence didn't stop with his immediate followers. His teachings actually became the ethical bone of the Achaemenid Empire, where rulers like Cyprus the Great practiced tolerance, justice, and ethical leadership. These principles weren't just confined to ancient Persia. They echoed across cultures and even shaped the development of later religions and philosophies. So, why does Zarathustra's philosophy still matter? Because it speaks to the core of what it means to be human. How do we live with purpose? How do we confront challenges? And how do we contribute to something greater than ourselves? Zarathustra's teachings challenge us to look beyond self-interest and fear, to see ourselves as part of a much larger story. By embracing free will, he offered a vision of life that is relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. His message calls us not just to observe the world, but to actively shape it, working together to create a more just and harmonious existence. In essence, Zarathustra's teachings reminds us that we're not powerless. Each of us has the capacity to be a force for good, to light a metaphorical flame that guides our actions and inspires those around us. His legacy isn't just about ancient wisdom, it is a call to action, as urgent and meaningful now as it was in ancient Persia. And now, back to our book, The Spirit of Zoroastrianism. Skjærvø begins by situating Zoroastrianism in its historical and cultural context. He paints a vivid picture of ancient Persia, a world where Zoroaster's teachings first took root. This section is particularly engaging because it highlights how revolutionary Zoroaster's monotheistic vision was in a landscape dominated by polytheistic beliefs. Skjærvø delves into the early oral tradition of Zoroastrianism, emphasizing the role of the Gathas, poetic hymns, that is, attributed to Zoroaster himself. These hymns, Skjærvø explains here, they are not only religious texts, but also philosophical meditations on ethics and existence. They shape humanity's role in the cosmic order. The heart of the book lies in its exploration of Zoroastrianism's core principles. Skjærvø takes us through the dualistic worldview that defines the religion, the eternal struggle between Ahura, the god of light and wisdom, and Angra, the spirit of chaos and evil. He doesn't just stop at surface-level descriptions. Instead, he dives into the moral and philosophical implications of this duality. For instance, Skjærvø explains how Zoroastrianism emphasizes the agency of individuals in this cosmic battle. The choice to align with Asha, again, truth and order, or fall into Druj, the sight and chaos, is presented as deeply personal yet universally significant acts. This section is thought-provoking and helps readers draw connections between the teachings back then and modern ethical dilemmas. So, one of the book's strengths, in my opinion, is its attention to the lived experience of Zoroastrianism. Skjærvø here describes the rituals and practices that have sustained the faith over centuries. From the sacred fire that symbolizes divine light to the intricate ceremonies surrounding life events like birth, marriage, and death. What's particularly compelling is how Skjærvø links these rituals to the religion's philosophical underpinnings. For example, the act of tending a fire isn't just a religious duty. It is a symbolic affirmation of one's commitment to truth and goodness. Zoroastrianism's journey through history is another fascinating aspect of the book. Skjærvø here writes down its rise under the Achaemenid Empire and its influence on later religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Also, he states its decline, he records its decline under the Islamic conquest of Persia. Skjærvø also sheds light on the Zoroastrian diaspora, particularly the Parsi community in India, or the Parsi community in India, who have preserved and adapted their traditions in the face of modern challenges. So, why this book stands out? What sets the spirit of Zoroastrianism apart from other books on the subject is, for me, its balanced approach. Our writer here respects the historical and spiritual significance of Zoroastrianism, where he also addresses its complexities and internal debates. He doesn't shy away from discussing controversial topics such as the tension between Orthodox and Reformist interpretations, or the challenges of maintaining Zoroastrian identity in a globalized world. And the book also excels in its use for primary sources. Skjærvø frequently quotes from the Avesta, which is the sacred texts of Zoroastrianism, as well as later commentaries and interpretations. His translations are clear and evocative, allowing readers to engage directly with the wisdom of Zoroaster or Zarathustra and his followers. This book is perfect, basically, for anyone interested in the history of religion and philosophy, someone like me, or even, generally speaking, ancient cultures. Whether you are a scholar, a spiritual seeker, or simply curious about the roots of modern ideas, about ethics and morality, Skjærvø offers something of value. Even if you are, if you have no prior knowledge of Zoroastrianism and only getting to know Nietzsche, well, the book is accessible and its style makes it easier to follow. The Spirit of Zoroastrianism is more than just a book about ancient religion. It's actually a meditation on what it means to live a life that is full of purpose and integrity. And Skjærvø invites readers to reflect on timeless questions. How do we confront the forces of chaos in our lives? How can we uphold truth in the face of deceit? And what role do we play in shaping a just, harmonious world? These questions resonate across cultures and eras, making Zoroastrianism as relevant today as it was in ancient Persia. Now you might be wondering, why would Nietzsche, someone who famously known as a critical of organized religion, find inspiration in Zoroaster or Zarathustra as a religious prophet? Of course, we have talked about his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, in previous episodes, but the key here lies in Nietzsche's ability to reinterpret historical figures and ideas in entirely new ways. Rather than adopting Zoroaster's teachings in their original form, Nietzsche here transformed the ancient Persian prophet into a symbol for his own revolutionary philosophy. And in his book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Nietzsche presents a Zoroaster who doesn't deliver commitments or uphold a fixed moral code, but instead denounces the death of God and the rise of the Übermensch, the overman. And just to refresh our memory a little bit, we talked about the overman in previous episodes. We said that it's Nietzsche's ideal figure, someone who creates their own values and embraces life without relying on traditional divine or societal authorities. I highly recommend you check out that episode for further details. Now, to understand why Nietzsche chose Zarathustra, it helps to consider the historical significance for Zarathustra himself. So in ancient Persia, Zarathustra was not simply a spiritual leader, but also a lawgiver who introduced the idea of cosmic struggle between good and evil. His teachings emphasized moral responsibility on the choosing of one's own path and light over falsehood. In many ways, Zarathustra laid the groundwork for dualistic thinking, which influenced major religions like Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Nietzsche saw in Zarathustra a pivotal figure, a thinker who had shaped humanity's understanding of morality and existence. But Nietzsche didn't leave Zarathustra's teachings as they were. Instead, he turned the ancient prophet into a mouthpiece for his critic of traditional morality. And Nietzsche's Zarathustra is not a preacher of eternal truths or universal laws. Rather, he is a seeker, a wanderer. He urges humanity to move beyond the rigid categories of good and evil and go to embrace life in all its complexity. For Nietzsche, this meant rejecting the idea that morality is something fixed or dictated from above. Instead, he argued that the true meaning and value are created by individuals who are brave enough to face life and its challenges and contradictions head on. By choosing Zarathustra, Nietzsche also makes a symbolic statement. Zarathustra historically represents the origin of moral dualism, the idea that life is a battleground between light and darkness, good and evil, etc., etc. Nietzsche wanted to challenge this binary way of thinking, and through Zarathustra, he proposes a different vision, one where life is not about choosing sides in a cosmic battle, but about transcending these opposites altogether. It is about seeing unity where others see division, and finding creativity and purpose in life's chaos and struggle. In reclaiming Zarathustra's name and transforming his role, Nietzsche underscores a profound philosophical shift. He moves away from a worldview that divides existence into absolutes and instead celebrates the dynamic process of becoming. The transition from going from being to becoming. And Nietzsche's Zarathustra doesn't offer answers or deliver commandments. Instead, he invites humanity to question, to create, and to continually redefine what it means to live fully and authentically. This reinterpretation of Zarathustra is central to Nietzsche's vision of a world where individuals rise above the old values and embrace the freedom to shape their own destinies. So, by invoking Zarathustra, Nietzsche connects the ancient and the modern, the spiritual and the philosophical. He challenges us to look beyond inherited traditions and asks us to create something entirely new. It is not just about rejecting the past, it is about transforming it into a foundation for growth. Now, let's connect the dots to the modern way. Why, you might ask, should we care about Zoroastrianism and Nietzsche in our contemporary world, specifically these ideas discussed today? Well, after all, one of the main ideas of Zarathustra is basically the core concept in an ancient religion that originated thousands of years ago, and the other is a 19th century philosopher known for his complex and often controversial ideas. Well, what relevance could they possibly have for us today, you might ask? The answer lies in a shared and timeless message, which is the need for vigilance against stagnation. Whether in our spiritual lives or political systems. So both Zoroastrianism and Nietzsche challenge us to stay alert, to stay cautious to questions, and to actively participate in shaping a better future. Nietzsche's critique of rigid systems and his call for the creation of new values is just as relevant. In our fast-changing world, Ideologies and institutions can sometimes become outdated, clinging to traditions that no longer serve the needs of the present. Nietzsche warns us about the danger of sticking to systems that have already lost their vitality. He urges us to break free from inherited structures when they stifle innovation and creativity. In Nietzsche's view, life itself is constantly evolving, and so should our values, as well as our perspectives. Now, let's consider how these ideas apply to real-world situations. Take, for example, the democratic backsliding we have seen in many parts of the world, including my home country, Tunisia. After a period of democratic progress, Tunisia has experienced setbacks that threaten its hard-won freedoms. In such moments, the teachings of Zoroastrianism and Nietzsche reminds us that the complacency is the enemy of progress. Democracy, much like truth or personal growth, isn't something you achieve once and for all. It requires constant effort and vigilance. It's a flame that must be nurtured and protected, much like the eternal flame of Ahura, which symbolizes light and the unyielding pursuit of truth. Zoroastrianism calls on us to act with integrity and to choose the path of righteousness, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Similarly, which we can find in Nietzsche, he challenges us to rise above despair and resignation, to embrace struggle as a necessary part of creating something new and better. Both perspectives actually reject passivity here, and they demand that we take responsibility not only for ourselves, but for the world we are helping to shape. In this context, their messages are not relics of the past, but urgent calls to action. Zoroastrianism teaches us the value of ethical responsibility in a world where truth is often under siege. Nietzsche inspires us to question outdated norms and to have the courage to imagine and create new possibilities. Together, they offer a framework for navigating the complexities of modern life, a commitment to truth, a rejection of complacency, and an embrace of the challenges that come with growth. So, as we face the uncertainties of the 21st century, let us take a lesson from these two seemingly disparate sources. Let us keep the flame of truth and progress alive, even when it flickers. Let us challenge the systems that no longer serve us and strive to create values that reflect the realities and aspirations of today. Above all, let us remember that the struggle for growth, whether personal, cultural, or political, is never ending, but it is also what makes life meaningful. So, what can we take away from today's exploration? Let's distill it into a few key lessons. So, first, Zoroastrianism's enduring principle, which is the truth, along, of course, with free will and responsibility. These remain as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. These aren't just abstract ideas, they are practical tools for navigating the complexities of both personal and societal challenges. Truth reminds us to seek clarity and authenticity in our actions and beliefs. Responsibility calls us to acknowledge the impact of our choices, not just on ourselves, but on the world around us. And free will empowers us to act deliberately, shaping our lives and societies with intention. Second, Nietzsche's bold, reimagining of Zarathustra invites us to embrace the fluidity of existence. His challenge is clear: create values that resonate with the realities of our time. It is a call to reject outdated dogmas and to actively engage in the ever-evolving process of defining meaning. For Nietzsche, life is not a puzzle to be solved with pre-packed answers, but an open canvas for innovating and reaching growth. His Zarathustra symbolizes this dynamic pursuit, a reminder that we are not bound by the past, but can learn from it to forge new path. Finally, the enduring relevance of these ideas highlights an important truth. The past is not a place to find all the answers, but a wellspring of inspiration. By looking back, not with nostalgia but with curiosity, we equip ourselves with the wisdom to tackle present-day challenges. And Zoroastrianism and Nietzsche both urge us to stay vigilant, to remain engaged, and to continually strive for a better world, whether through truth, innovation, or the courage to question and grow. Thank you for joining me on this philosophical journey. I hope today's exploration has sparked your curiosity and perhaps even inspired you to reflect on your own path. I'd like to leave you with a quote from Thus Spoke Zarathustra from the fourth and final part. And I quote, "Have you now learned my song? Have you guessed what it means? Well then, well now, you higher men, then sing me now my new round delay. Sing me the song yourselves now, whose name is one more time, whose meaning is in all eternity. Sing, you higher men, Zarathustra's round delay. O mankind, pray, what does deep midnight have to say? From sleep, from deepest dream I made my way. The world is deep, and deeper than the grasp of day, deep in its pain, joy, deeper still than misery. Pain says, refrain, yet all joy wants eternity, wants deep eternity." End of quote. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd greatly appreciate if you subscribed and shared Philosophizing with the Hammer with others who you think they might find, informative and they might resonate with their lives. Until next time, keep questioning, keep growing. Signing off.